Praise the Lord, niggas.
Praise him. Praise him, praise him, praise him. Welcome to Getting Grown with Jade and Keia, a podcast by, for, and about black women and men who are figuring it out all through the triumphs, trials, twists, and turns of adulting in the
Just
world
like
today.
our intro.
Right? I can't even speak, but I'm happy to be here. We back for episode 30 and everything like that right there.
30. How you doing?
What's up, sis?
Man, just getting through these technical difficulties per usual. You know, me and Keia be over here troubleshooting, and I be troubleshooting blindly. So, yeah, that's pretty much what my life is right now. How are you?
I'm here.
Yes.
I'm doing okay. What's going on? Like, what happened this weekend? Anything?
What did I do this weekend? Oh, it was Antoinette's birthday. She turned 30, just like this episode.
Happy birthday, Antoinette.
So we went out to Ode to Babel. If you are anywhere in the New York City area or in Brooklyn, Ode to Babel is my spot. Like, I love it. It's a small bar lounge. They always have dope DJs, amazing bartenders. Shout out to Maya. And they just really accommodated us for her birthday. So she had a grand time to the point where she's able to send videos today and say, why did you all let me do this? So that was a good time. We were up like we thought we were young, and we got in the house at like 6:30 and had to take Noah to dance at 10:30. So but that's what comes with adulting. You must do what you have to do. What about your weekend? You were out, weren't you, in the ATL, Shouty?
I was in Atlanta. It was an uneventful time. I was just there working, but I had a really good meeting. What did you say?
No strip clubs.
I had a really good meeting and an awesome, productive time at. I was at a residency for faculty that are aspiring academic leaders on their campuses. These faculty were from HBCU specifically, so we got some good. We had some great speakers and did some great not troubleshooting. You made me think of that word. Like brainstorming and workshopping and working together on developing projects for broadening participation on their campuses. So that was awesome. And I got a chance to hang out with Ronaldo. Hey, brother.
Hey, boo.
Parency the one. I got to hang out with him a couple of times and was supposed to meet up with Shario, but she got a migraine and couldn't make it. So I hope you're feeling better, sis. And it was really an in and out trip. Sorry to everyone else in Atlanta that I did not get to see, but hopefully I'll be back in the area soon and we can kick it and catch up.
That's so funny. And I'll be in Atlanta next weekend. I also will not be able to go to the Shake Joint because I will be having a productive time with the For the Culture catering pop-up. Shout out to everybody who's bought tickets. You guys are still buying tickets. We're getting sales every single day, and ticket sales close tomorrow, Wednesday. So make sure that you try to slide in real quick before it's done. It's going to be a really, really good time. But that sounds dope, sis. I'm happy that you're like out here really like businessing. I'm just, you're just out here professionally.
I have to take care of myself, so I have to work all the time, every day, 47 jobs, not complaining because being booked is a blessing.
Amen.
What was I saying? So what, before we get into the show, are there any, you want to take out the trash and talk about what's going on in the world today?
Yeah, there's there's a couple things that need to be taken out. Sunny Anderson and her wigs being number one right now.
I'm gonna let you have this because I'm just unfamiliar because I've really been in the bowels of work these last few days, so I'm just like You were catching me up a little bit when we were preparing for the show, but I have to do my Googles and catch up. But I'm gonna let you go ahead because from what I understand and from what I've seen on the Twitter, people are waiting with bated breath for you to get Sunny Anderson together. So please, the floor is yours.
I'm sorry, I don't have like amazing crystal like reads. However, I will say that before we even talk about Sunny Anderson and her very problematic way of thinking, her wigs are trash. Those are the first thing that need to go out. They are the worst thing. On top of the fact that her food is not appealing. She cooks like a white woman with two 11-year-olds in New Jersey. Her wigs, twins. And they are not roomy in the sir.
Oh my god.
Sunny Anderson's wigs are the worst, god awful. Sis, I want you to.
I mean, I can't even think of her wigs because I'm always distracted by her makeup because she's always good for old
fashion
glitter,
fair.
like not even fashion fair, but she just gets very childish, like. I'm 22 years old and I have a gift certificate at MAC and I bought up all these eyeshadows that I will wear one time. But like she, like, you know.
Okay, well, while she's over there wearing unicorn glow, and then you can't get over the fact of her face, look at her head the next time because she's 93 on the head with these terrible wigs.
I'm always distracted by her makeup. But I will pay attention to her wigs.
God, her wigs.
And she's always so terribly loud. I remember her on Beat Bobby Flay, and I was just like, she was giving like Jennifer Hudson level of amplification. I was like, why is Sunny hollering like this? Like she is legit screaming.
She's like she's that irritating ass coworker. Like her food is not. It doesn't even look.
I don't
good.
even feel like I've ever seen Sunny's show, so I don't feel like I can speak to her food because I've never watched her program.
Well, I can.
Well, go for it, sis. Go for it.
It is basura. But anyway, her opinions are even worse. So I feel justified in having made fun of her all of these years. Because if anybody's familiar with everything going on with Harvey Weinstein and him being a rapist and a disgusting human being.
That is correct.
Sunny Anderson decided that she was going to chime in about an experience that she had at the workplace. And talk about how she was sexually harassed at work. And when she went to her superior, that, she felt brave because she reported to her first radio boss. She felt brave. However, the 4 coworkers that came after were not brave, is what she said. Okay. She said that, so as all these women come out of the woodwork, ask yourself, were they complicit in their silence, complicit when taking payoffs? What are you even talking about right now? She said people out here just using the word brave like they know what it is. And you're out here wearing wigs like you know how to do so. I refuse to call the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 10th person to come out and say, me too brave. We can call them late, though, or I can. Those were her tweets.
Wait. Way to turn the narrative, Sunny. Like, you know what kills me about people?
Victim blaming.
Like not even victim blaming. It's like the oppression Olympics. Like niggas want to be like, oh no, nigga, it was harder for me. No, my life is more terrible than yours. Like, let me just out terrible you right quick. Like, Sunny,
right.
This is not about you. You are making it about you. And it's such a reach. Like, did you stretch, girl? Like, you pulling a muscle. Like, I'm sure that you've torn a ligament out here, stretching and reaching for all of this relevance, girl, that you have
shredded your meniscus.
I don't even like ACL torn to shreds, girl. Like, I just wish you're dislocating your shoulders and all of that. I don't know, girl. I just wish that like, let's not make this about coconuts. Like, this is not about you. Like, Sunny. Mm-hmm. So for you to make it about you right now says a lot about yourself and the way that you see yourself in the world. And you might need to seek some professional help. I mean, because like, I don't know, like it's, I don't know. Like,
so are you saying too that all the women who came out after the very first woman who spoke about Bill Cosby are also?
I mean, just what does it matter?
Late?
What does it matter? Like, why would you make it about anything other than what the issue is about? The issue is that Harvey Weinstein is it Weinstein or Weinstein? I don't care. Anyway,
it's gross, is what it is.
He has been out here being a deplorable shell of a human being,
Thank you,
and terrorizing women. And using his power to manipulate people to do things or to even asking or suggesting things that are just disgusting and inappropriate and immoral, like all things awful, right? So let's not lose sight of that as the matter at hand. Now,
speak on it.
And I don't know, like somebody else coming forward, like the number of women coming forward does not negate or devalue anybody's experience or the weight that they've had to carry as a result. So I don't care if 44 women come out after the first woman comes out. Each one of those women have had to deal with the stress and the trauma and the anxiety associated with this heinous act, this heinous behavior from this powerful, rich white man. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't care how many people speak up about it. The fact of the matter is I still have to deal with it and go through the emotional stress and trauma that I've had to deal with as a result. So I just feel like why would we make this about anything other than what it's about? And I don't know. Right. I don't know what Sunny her specifically gets out of standing on a platform and saying, no, my abuse is worse than yours. Like, that's dumb. That's like somebody like, that's like when, if I've lost someone, I don't get up at every funeral that I go to and say, you know what? I have dealt with loss too. Like, that's not what this is about. No, it's not. Like,
and when I dealt with my loss, everybody who dealt with the loss after me.
This is dumb. This is
stupid. And so she's basically saying like, oh, well, these women who all came out, they're just late. It's like, no. And furthermore, you don't even know, if you want to get deeper into it, you don't know the reasoning as to why people have not spoken out. And it's the same situation with Bill Cosby, and it's the same situation with tons of women who have dealt, or tons of people in general who have dealt with trauma, and dealt with rape and dealt with abuse. People don't always, sometimes they don't have that bravery to step up. Sometimes they don't have it in them. Sometimes they need somebody to push them to that level, and to see that other people have gone through those experiences, especially with one particular person, and knowing that you're not by yourself. Why would you go and speak against them as opposed to speaking against the person who is just filthy and foul out here, living reckless and foul and destroying people's lives? You're an awful human being. Everything about you is awful, physically and mentally and emotionally, and you need to go get help. And that's all I got to say about her.
Yeah, I mean, the line at the bottom of all of this is that this is not Sunny's business, and all of this, is just evidence of the fact that she has not worked through whatever it is that, came as a result of her own abuse. And for that, I say that, I'm sad for her. I'm not excusing her behavior at all, but I just hope that she would, take this occasion to do some self-reflection and do her own work. Come on here, Iyanla, because that's all I'm hearing. It's just like, girl, like, you're clearly not healed from whatever happened to you. And if you feel like you have to, 10, 12, 15 years later after the fact, like, you don't even work on the radio no more, sis. Like, so
right.
You don't have to come out and Mr. Me Too this. Like, this is not,
nobody cares about anything.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to make this about you. It's not about you. And we don't care.
It's bad enough we've had to look at you all this time.
Well, go with God, Sonny, and turn the volume down. Moving right along.
And get you some black friends, because you can always tell when somebody don't have black friends when they got a really bad weave or wig. But anyway.
That is true. Because there is just, friendship. It requires truth.
The worst to leave out, I'd be like, you ain't got no black friends. And then the worst to leave out, I'm like, you don't have one black friend.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. But speaking of people who have not healed and moved on from the from the traumas of their lives, so this week I watched Mary Mary on We. And I had the unfortunate opportunity of watching Tina Campbell and her husband Teddy counsel. And these were like just me giving like 45 air quotes. Like, that's all the quotes I got. Counsel.
Houseway.
Benzino. Benzino and his missing neck and his baby mother.
The human chicken nugget.
Like Benzino look like Mickey Mouse. He don't have no neck. Head, shoulders, knees and toes.
Knees and toes.
Knees and toes. Benzino, where your neck at, B? Where your neck though? Where your neck? Your neck is missing. It's gone.
Amber alert! Benzino's neck.
Man, it's in a silver Mazda.
If every
The silver Mazda license plate HELLNO. That's right. 369 HELLNO. All right. Benzino has no neck, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Anyway.
Woo.
So Teddy and Tina were fake counseling Benzino and Althea because they are going through. They said, these are their words, that they were experiencing a similar situation, and that's where there's so much wrong here, so many things that are terrible, but they claim that their situation is similar to Tina and Teddy's, and they were seeking their advice and counsel. This is problematic for about 72,000 reasons. The first one being Tina Campbell is neither qualified or capable of counseling anybody.
An ant, not a roach, not a plant.
Listen, Tina couldn't counsel a booger out of a nose. She couldn't counsel. she couldn't counsel. I can't even think of nothing else. She couldn't counsel air out the air conditioner. She could not counsel peanut butter and jelly. She couldn't count what are you doing?
Flat iron,
that's right. You speaking of flat irons, there was a girl in the airport today flat ironing her hair in the bathroom, and I was just looking at her like, sis, now is not the time. But anyway,
or the place.
Like, girl, why you got this whole terminal smelling like burnt ends? I was upset. I was upset with her.
She was about to go see a nigga, baby. She wasn't worried about you.
She just worked my nerves, and I want her. I burned a hole in the side of her face as I was washing my hands. I was just looking at her like, you are dumb. I cannot believe.
I'm gonna twirl on you, black lady, because I've been here flat ironing my hair because my nigga's outside waiting for me, and I want to look like something when I see him.
I was just over her, but anyway,
filthy.
Yes, Tina could not cancel the steam off a flat iron because she's not qualified. I think that. Don't think that because Tina got cheated on, now she can counsel women who've been cheated on forgiveness. And let me just tell you something. That is the first lie, because Tina has not forgiven Teddy. I'm going to tell you.
No, because she won't stop talking about it.
Talking about it. And she won't stop. She won't, she talks about it every episode. Every time there's a microphone anywhere near her face, she talks about it. And, I mean, her identity is it's like rooted in this now. So now she feels like she has to talk about this, but she has not forgiven Teddy. She has not. She wants to control the previous episode. They do some sort of like YouTube show or something where they talk about advice and couples and forgiveness and all that crap. And she got upset with him at that episode because he kind of took over the conversation, and she was like, you need to let me take the lead on whenever we talk about this because you cheated on me. And I'm like, girl, you sound real hurt and you need to listen. Like, I don't know. It's okay for her to still be working through her forgiveness. I don't know why she feels like she has to put on this front like all is well when we know that it's not. And furthermore,
work through it silently.
Just work through it. And furthermore, don't lie on the Lord. Now, I'm tired of y'all lying on the Lord because forgiveness is totally a thing that the Lord tells us to do. But forgiveness must be it must exist along with wisdom. Like you're responsible for yourself. The Lord will not have you out here looking stupid and acting stupid and then just, caught up in a cycle of wrong on the basis of forgiveness. Like, that's whack. Forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. Teddy cheated on Tina.
Did we say it before?
Listen, Teddy cheated on Tina 10 times that she knew of in their marriage. Now she want to get up on my TV talking about, I am such a super Christian because I forgave him. Girl, no, you didn't. That's not what this is about. Like, that's
First of all, she be renting out these theaters and selling these 17 tickets, her and Teddy, and then she gets up. I just want to let you all know today we're going to talk about
Oh
forgiveness.
my God, leave me alone.
Because my nigga cheated on me. And look at us. We're standing here right now in front of you both. Look at him, Teddy Sealy. Look at him in his face. He's got shame.
I don't know, man. The language, the way that we talk, the way that she talks about it is problematic for me. I am not suggesting that I am the authority on this. I'm not even saying that Tina should not forgive her husband. I think that that's something that they have to work through. But I just feel like you cannot wrap things up in a Pretty Little reality show bow.
No.
And just make it appear that all is well when people who have
a failing tour.
Exactly. When people who have rational thinking minds and two capable eyes and can see and can hear, and we can all perceive that this is like not a healthy situation, bullshit. Right? It's not a healthy situation. And I think it's really, really problematic for her to be out here telling people like Althea and other women to just forgive your husband. You don't have enough context into people's lives. And I think that what if you telling somebody to forgive and just stay in a situation that is unhealthy for them and their children? Right. If somebody does not care about you enough to not sleep with somebody else 10 whole different times during your 12-year marriage, then that makes, I mean, there's other things that you would need to call into question about their character and their behavior. So you can't, I mean, and I'm not saying they haven't done this work, but I don't like the way that they have presented this situation on television, have people thinking it's all right and just giving niggas license to just be out here cheating because Tina said that she gonna have to forgive me because the Lord said so. That's not what the Lord said. The Lord says that, yes, we do have to forgive, but that don't mean that we just stay in terrible situations, because she
also be stoning this nigga publicly. So if you're gonna be claiming to forgive this nigga, then don't be having him out here like Handmaid's Tale, throwing him in the middle of the pit. Shame.
It's so bad.
Bible.
I hate it. Like, I literally hate it. It really makes me feel some kind of way. Like, it's not all right. And she talking about Althea's mother comes talk about Tina said, well, what's the problem? She was like, because Benzino was fornicating. I said, well, so was Althea, because they ain't married. Words mean things. So, like, so, I mean, I'm sure that she meant adultery, but I'm just saying, like, it seemed...
Which it still isn't.
Which it still isn't, because they are not married. But God bless their hearts. I mean...
He was just out here creeping.
You know what I'm saying? Cheating. Like, he was just out here without a neck, doing what he does. And that's fine.
With whoever, for whatever reason.
Listen, I mean, it's just too much. It's just too much. But
maybe some women don't like neck. Maybe they're not into necks. Maybe they like to lick a chest or an ear at the same time.
Well, I'm gonna move on because I'm triggered and disgusted. I just have one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about. I forgot to mention this when we were preparing, so just indulge me.
Okay.
Nelly. Nelly was serenading somebody's daughter on a stage, singing "I Can't Get You Off My Mind. I Think About You Over and Over and Over and Over." And I just want to know, where were the problematic police? Because I just was troubled on every side. Like, literally, like, this is so terrible.
Needs to be laying low. He needs to be laying low right now. Got a lot going on legally.
And I would just like to have a brief moment, a quick little powwow with this child's mama.
Let's have it now.
I want to just talk to her, sis, because you dropped the ball on this one. You dropped it in front of all of us, and I feel like the judgment that you are about to receive is completely warranted.
You dropped a bomb on me, baby. So I want to have a conversation with her and all of the parents of the young ladies who are in captivity by Robert.
Oh,
like all of them. No, because I'm trying to figure out how this keeps happening. Like, your daughter wants a singing career. That's not the person that she needs to be going to. Like, Nelly is not. There's a lot happening right now with him.
He's claiming that it's all innocent, but I'm just saying the optics were all wrong. Like, and I mean, if you even Google it right now, what do you say?
This is a kid in your sing,
like If you Google it right now, all of the people, the way that people describe it is just like everyone says Nelly creepily serenades, like creepily serenades this young child and twirls her finger, twirls her hair around his fingers.
No. Oh, he touched her.
He touched
Oh,
her.
no.
He was touching her face and twirling her hair, and I was just like, "Where is her mama?"
Over there clapping.
No, because this
singing,
baby could
smiling.
not know. Like, there's no possible way that this baby is old enough to know who Nelly is or what this song is about. Like, I mean, like, why was she there? Who takes their child to see Nelly? That's the first question. Why? Your baby don't know who Nelly is?
Nor does she know what a tip drill is.
When is
or
the last
need to.
time? When has Nelly had a song out? Like, literally, like.
The Honey Nut Cheerios commercial.
I don't have time for that either. Like, none of these babies out here know who the hell Nelly is. Why was that baby
Not
at
a
the
soul.
concert? Why was she there?
Listen, Noah has an extensive vocabulary for a 4-year-old, and Nelly's nowhere in there.
Listen, cause for what? Like, why? Why? But
I want to go wake her up right now and be like Nelly, so she can be like, "Who?"
what exactly? I
Just-
can't. It's a problem. It's a problem. We just have to. I don't know. There's nothing else to be said. Nelly got to stop. And this girl's mother needs to be slapped.
See, this is a cycle, and I don't like it. It's a problem. It's a problem.
Ain't no more big mamas. Where's her mama? Somebody
Right.
needed to tell her that this is a terrible idea.
You know what? No, Tokyo T
hell.
is showing us that
God.
mamas are not necessarily where it's at all the time
Ain't no
now.
more big mamas no more, y'all. Ain't no more
big
more
mamas.
aunties or none of that. We gonna have to just.
No, there's aunties. We're aunties.
I do feel like an
'Cause I
auntie.
guarantee
I feel like
you.
an auntie now that I have done this iOS 11 update and I don't know how to work my phone. I really feel like an auntie
Sis,
because I'm just like, what does this do?
I hate
How
it
does
so
this
much.
work?
I don't like 11.0.3. I don't like it.
Any of it, and I wish I could go back. I really do because I just don't understand I can't find anything.
It's dumb.
What are y'all doing? Like, what are y'all doing? I feel
Who's making this?
I just feel old. Like I feel like you know how when you see your mom using her cell phone with her index finger and she looking over her glasses. That's how I feel when I use my phone now. Because I'm just like, what?
Alone in a room.
Oh, not Yolanda.
It's just me and you.
Girl,
That's the
oh my
phone.
gosh, exactly. We're doing too
I'm
much
so
talking.
lost.
We're doing way too much talking. Can we get into the show?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
My sister's popping right now, like.
Shout out to my sis time.
Hermanitas.
Oh my gosh. You just have these Hispanic subtitles and I just don't even know what to make of it sometimes, but I'm going to let you get your life. This week's shout out to my sis was submitted by a listener. The email reads, "Hi, Jade and Keia. Hey, girl. Your podcast gives me life and helps me as I navigate this corporate whitewashed world, and I appreciate you. We appreciate you too, sis." She said, "Today I wanted to shout out my sis Patrice, who not only types fast on the 9 to 5, but also owns a yoga studio, which is designed with people of color in mind. The yoga studio is located in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is not your average run-of-the-mill yoga studio. They play Kendrick, SZA, Erica, Lauren, etc. while you move and breathe the stress and anxiety away while building strength and flexibility. Think you can do yoga? Think again. Everyone can do yoga, and yoga truly is for everyone. I will put the link in the description for colorsofyogaraleigh.com. So shout out to Patrice and shout out to Rachel B for submitting. I did have the chance to go and check out the website, and it looks really cute. This is awesome Black-owned business that is for us and by us, and you know, it's yoga. It's yoga for the trap. How could we not love that?
That sounds like my kind of carry
I
on.
concur. I concur. There's classes and a cute little studio. Again, it's in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if you live in that area, then you should definitely check them out. So shout out to Patrice, who is the owner, and shout out to Rachel for writing in.
Shout out to you guys. There's a I'll have to find the info and tell you and maybe make it an official shout out one day, but there's a similar situation in New York called Grills and Granola. and it's this, and it's like trap music, yoga. So I think that's dope that you guys are creating spaces for us by
Yeah, man.
us.
Patrice Graham is the owner. There's other teachers listed. Yeah, lots of different classes offered, private yoga sessions. You guys check out colorsofyogaraleigh.com and let them know that Jade and Keia from Getting Grown sent you over.
Yes. Plus, you can generally trust a black woman named Patrice.
It is a very sturdy and respectable name, isn't it? We love that.
Yeah. Kitchen table
Yes,
talk.
man. Now that we've taken out the trash for a half hour, let us
I
gather
know,
around
but
the
you know,
kitchen table. Sometimes it's just a lot of trash. You can't really sit down to the table unless the trash has been taken out.
Fall cleaning.
Listen,
Fall
not-
cleaning. I've been nesting. Oh, I've been just like in home mode
that's
lately.
my life.
Just wanting to get.
Totally.
Yeah, like I just like. I mean, same. Like I'm always like, man, I need to do this, but I really am like, man, I need to do this. I need to do.
Me
this,
and
I
Crystal
need
were
to do
talking
this.
earlier this week about like how, you know, the weather is changing and, you know, it's getting cold. And we'd be like, girl, well, y'all thought y'all didn't see me much before. You wait.
You really not
Wait
gonna
until
see me
this
now.
temperature gets to below 50 degrees, honey. You're going to be like,
I'll see you December 1st.
Yeah.
You'll be out of your house then.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
December 1st, I will have to journey out into the cold.
But what are you munching on at the kitchen table today?
You know, I'm coming back in from out of town, and my refrigerator is barren, honey. It's just as dry. But I did have a cup of tea. I ordered some Chinese food, and then by the time it got here, I didn't want it, so I just ate a little of my broccoli and just a few rices. Y'all remember that man? I can't think of the comedian. It was a comedian on Comic View years and years ago. And he used to say rices.
Oh, I loved comic.
He'd be like, man, you know, I would have some roast beef and gravy. I had about 1,000 rices. I had about 1,000 rices. You know, man, rices on my plate. I love rices. So yeah, I had me a few grains of rices with my broccoli. And yeah, but that's what I've got. And I just had a wonderful cup of tea. You know, as I get older, I am just getting better and better at making good tea.
Isn't it a good tea? Like, isn't it so pleasant?
I just felt so much better, and I'm so sad that there's nothing left. I wish I could make another cup because I thought it was going to last me the whole show, but here we are.
But no, it was so delicious. I had me a good chai vanilla tea yesterday with a little almond milk and some cinnamon in it. Oh my goodness. And a little bit of natural sugar, turbinado. It was so good.
I had bought some raw cane sugar from the Whole Foods.
Yes, same thing. Yes, turbinado, raw sugar. Yes, I'm so proud of
Girl,
you.
it's on sale.
Now we're just going to move on to the deodorant.
I told you
Anyway,
I'm not putting that all natural stuff.
I found one that works
I don't have
well.
time to be test driving deodorant. I need to know that it works. You don't have me out here smelling like pine cones, fooling with you.
No, mint.
I'm
Mint
not
and tea
interested.
tree.
Degree keeps me
Fresh.
going strong. Yes, it does.
It was secret for me when I was in that life.
Girl.
But anyway,
What? Last month?
it's been a while. I have been testing natural deodorant processes for some time now, from making my own to using
I don't
different
have that
kinds.
to
Now
do.
they have.
God bless you.
I had
That's
to.
fine.
I
That's
had
fine.
different
Different
strokes.
folks.
At the kitchen table today, it's going to be more of a serious conversation because we're going to discuss mental, emotional abuse. We know that it is something that a lot of people deal with. And then there's also those people who seem to be in different types of relationships, and we'll discuss those different types of relationships as the kitchen table goes on. But there are different people who seem to be in different types of relationships that they might not necessarily be happy in, and they can't figure out what it is. So we thought identifying some of those behaviors might be something that would be key, because we know that it is a lot that a lot of us are going through.
So like the signs that
like the
that you might be
signs.
dealing with, or in a situation that may be emotionally abusive.
Yep. So with that being said, actually, Keia found a really good article that identifies a lot of those signs. So we thought we would kind of use that as a go by, as an outline, as we kind of get into the discussion a little
Yeah, and I'll
further.
be happy to put that in the description box as well for those of you who want to read the full article and get all the goods.
Yes. So the first thing I thought would be good as we get into it is to
Right.
define what that abuse is in the first place. And so I found a really good description, which is psychological abuse, also referred to as psychological violence, emotional abuse, or mental abuse, is a form of abuse characterized by a person subjecting or exposing another person to behavior that may result in psychological trauma, including anxiety, chronic depression, or post-traumatic stress disorder. So I found that to be a really pointed definition, and really self-explanatory. I don't think I need to expand on it any further. From there, do you want to go into some of the some of those signs?
So the article is a HuffPost article, and it really kind of lays out what I like about it is that it acknowledges that the fact that this kind of abuse can exist in many forms. So in terms of characterizing it, it gives like spectrums almost, or like points of consideration along like a continuum, that really puts the onus on the reader to think through and apply this information to their own relationships or whatever they may be experiencing, and really kind of determine and tease out what that means for them. Because, it's going to, look and feel and be different for every person because it's relative. So
Exactly.
in terms of the signs that you may be being emotionally abused, so the first one being like support versus discouragement. That's if someone, I guess, if your partner or the counterpart in the relationship is more prone or likely to discourage you rather than support you. So a non-abusive partner would be happy when opportunities come your way. Another, like an abusive partner may find ways to discourage you, find ways to dissuade you or keep you from progressing or trying new things, always offering, always, not even playing the devil's advocate, but being the devil's advocate and just being contrary, and really counter to whatever it is that you're experiencing, whatever that new thing might be. Another continuum is like someone who is more critical than like criticism versus admiration. So someone who would be more prone to put you down than they were to give you a compliment. I thought that this was, really a really useful one because, a lot of times it's all about determining that fine line between someone who's teasing you and like, poking fun. Because, we Jones people who we care about, like, and I know that that's probably an unhealthy practice, but it is very much a part of, at least it was very much a part of the culture of my house, my family, my friends. That kind of, joshing around, playing the dozens, all that stuff is really kind of specific to the way that I was brought up. But there is a fine line that is often crossed. And if it's something that happens all the time, like playing around versus just being downright critical, is,
Right.
Is the difference. Again, another aspect is, being indifferent versus being empathetic. Someone someone who, if you're going to someone who you're in a relationship with and kind of sharing what your hardship is, sharing what is upsetting to you, sharing what you're dealing with, and they kind of brush it off or tell you to grow up or tell you that you should be stronger, not necessarily giving you constructive feedback or pushing you in a constructive and positive and productive way to work through the problem, but more so kind of downing you or just being completely ambivalent or like, I don't really care about what you're going through, girl. It's not about you right now. Downplaying what you're going through versus someone who will be like, dang, like, all right, I'm so sorry that you're feeling this way, and being a listening ear, and then when you're ready, being someone who can help you think through ways to move forward, whatever that may mean.
Or even somebody who, when you're going through a hardship, who has to come back and, like we talked about earlier with the Mr. Me Too, come back with the hardship that they're going through, like completely downplaying what it is that you're going through. That is a form of emotional abuse. That is a form of the empathy versus indifference. And then number 4, the balance versus the chaos. So that, we all strive for peace within our relationships, because that's when they feel good. You know what I'm saying? But in an emotionally abusive relationship, they thrive on turmoil. So how is that balance within that relationship? Are you guys, is it constant friction? Or is it something that somebody feeds off of? Is it something that they have to have? Or is it something where they try to resolve issues in a peaceful manner or in a balanced manner? And so if it's a state of constant chaos, that's something that you might need to reevaluate or contemplate, talk to somebody about, whatever the case, journal about, but something that you need to work through. It's responsibility versus blame.
When it comes to responsibility versus blame, that being the 5th and final sign that you may be in an emotionally abusive situation, the person who you're in a relationship with refuses to take responsibility. Like if there's ever an issue where, there's a mutual disagreement or a mutual experience and it comes down to assigning responsibility or blame, they are just, they will be more apt to place total blame on you and not take any responsibility, or not be sensitive or compassionate to you at all, and not in a way that's, again, healthy or just communicating their experience, but in a very pejorative way that just all disappointments in an abuser's life is like they're externalizing whatever it is that they're feeling and making you a target of their emotions at the time. So if you're in a situation where, you're being just constantly blamed, you're constantly the one, you're constantly the bad guy, constantly the person who is at the root of all the issues, and dealing with someone who just refuses to see and acknowledge that the hand that they play in different situations. And, that might be a case where you're being emotionally abused. And I also want to say that, emotional abuse is tricky because it's not, blatant. It's not overt like physical abuse can be. It's not, or even sexual abuse, even though sexual abuse can exist in the shadows for some time, and it's often hidden away. Emotional abuse is even more difficult to identify and deal with because it's like insidious, and it's really passive. It's elusive. It kind of and it's almost relative because it requires it's easy for one to argue that, they didn't mean it. And I mean, it's hard to kind of point at and say this is abuse. So oftentimes it could teeter on the lines of like, oh, I was just playing. So in a lot of cases, people who are emotionally abused, they tend to cape and develop coping mechanisms when they're abused. Like they say, oh, they minimize it. Oh, it's not that bad. He's just playing. She's just playing. They don't mean it. So it's hard for people to kind of point at, and oftentimes if it's happening, someone has to be very intentional about calling it out and really kind of saying this is abuse. And I don't this is why I feel it's abusive, and this is why I'm not going to tolerate it anymore.
And like you said, it's not always harsh or mean. It's not always so external. Like a lot of times it's very manipulative. And so that's why it's harder to identify when you're in a situation like that.
No, I'm just saying it's very subtle. I also wanted to bring out the point that, a lot of times people think that it's just one-sided, that, in relationships, men are harsher than women, or, it's always, it's happening one way, but it's easy because it's something that is so latent. It can kind of exist and be like exist, in both parties involved, male to female, male to male, women, like, and in relationships, women can be just as emotionally abusive, if not more, than men, because you know how we are with our words, and I can stand up in that, because there are many times that I feel like my parent, I call it a gift. That's probably terrible, but I call it a gift. My mom, I did not grow up in a household where my parents cursed. My mom didn't curse. I've never heard my mother curse. I've never heard my grandmother curse. Like, cursing is just not a thing in my house. Howsoever, I was raised by women who had the uncanny capacity to make you feel like hot garbage, like basuda cha-cha-cha. Like, literally, they can just reduce you to nothing and make you feel like you are the scum of the earth, like you are below. They can make you feel like the worst of the worst. Exactly.
Words mean things.
And I feel like I have adopted that. It has been passed down to me, and I have been in situations, in instances where I knew that I was saying lethal things. Those of us who have a way with the words, even though, sometimes I bumble and fumble over my speech, but I have a command of the English language. I know how to put the words together. You know what I'm saying? I can, you know what I'm saying? I can get you together, and I can recall where I have said things that I knew when I said it out of my mouth that I was crossing a line, and I did it because I could. So I said that to say that, a lot of times women can be just as emotionally abusive as men can be. So I just wanted to make that point clear. Like, we're not saying that, I don't want it to be a one-sided thing where I'm saying we're talking about abusive men who are in a relationship with women, or, that it's not a thing, or even in same-sex relationships, or it doesn't even have to be in romantic relationships. Emotional abuse can exist within parent-child dynamics. It can exist in sibling dynamics. It can exist in all kinds of other family dyads. It could exist in friendships. It could exist in business relationships. It is totally a thing, and it has no the nature of a relationship has nothing to do with its prevalence or existence.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm glad you brought up what you brought up about women being how we also have the ability to be emotionally abusive, or people in general, in any relationship that we're in, we have that ability to be emotionally abusive. And so while this was originally to identify signs, and I'll get a little bit into why we wanted to talk about this today in a second, it's really good that we self-identify a lot of these behaviors to make sure that we're not exhibiting them, because we all have the ability to do so, especially when it works to our favor, because that's where a lot of this emotional abuse comes from. A lot of it comes from insecurities and bigger issues like that, but sometimes it comes just from, us wanting things a certain way, and so we try to manipulate a situation in order to get it to have it done that way, or we want somebody to feel a certain way, and so we will manipulate that situation in order to carry that out. But it's really, really important that we identify a lot of these behaviors in ourselves as well, because we don't want to be exhibiting that behavior.
I think it's important to say that the position of the show, or in my position at least, it's not calling out one party over the other as an abuser, but just kind of giving or arming ourselves, myself included. I mean, as I'm negotiating and dealing with all different kinds of relationships in my life, it's important for me to know this information beforehand so that I can be proactive in the way that I deal with people, and not just be out here, being irresponsible for my own actions, but
Right.
and also being irresponsible for the way in which that my actions influence the lives of the people who I'm in relationship with.
So I want to get a little bit into why we wanted to have this discussion in the first place. I think it's really important. Again, this is not for us to try to like blow up a bunch of people's relationships and say, okay, see, you see how you're dealing with that and you're dealing with that and you're dealing with that. That's emotional abuse. Now you need to do something about it. That's not the reasoning. I know quite a few people who are dealing with a lot right now, and I'm not going to put people's business out there, with names or anything like that. But I have a person that I know who is going through a situation where, and it's more of a drastic and harsh situation, but it's with a loved one, and I use that with air quotes as well, who does things like, who tears them down by telling them things like nobody else is going to want them. Or they're gaining weight and they need to do something about it. That can destroy a person emotionally. And when you profess to love somebody, that comes with a responsibility. And that comes with a responsibility in how you communicate with them, and how you communicate with them, and how you help them to look at themselves. Because while self-esteem is an esteem of self, it's something that we're responsible for ourselves. Those who are in our lives as our loved ones, and as we are in other people's lives as loved ones, and we want to build them up, we want people in our lives who are going to do the same thing. And it's never okay for you to stay in a situation where somebody is talking to you like that. Somebody is putting that in your head where you start to feel bad about yourself. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is more of a drastic situation that I'm speaking of right now. But just those small signs, those can lead to bigger things. I remember when I was in a relationship very young, and the person that I was with was a very insecure person, and I wasn't an insecure person, and they were able to completely flip that around and turn it around on me, where I then became an insecure person, because they pushed all of that off on me with constant belittling and constant accusations. All of that, false accusations, belittling, all of that are forms of emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and mental abuse. And it's never okay for anybody to be treating you like that. And it can be just as pointed as physical abuse. You know what I'm saying? For somebody to be tearing your character down like that. I know I seem like I'm kind of all over the place, but it's just something that really hits home for me. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I get viscerally angry when I hear about anybody that I know going through a situation like that. But like Keia said, it can come in so many different forms with so many different types of relationships. Again, if we're going to speak to a romantic relationship, another way that somebody can manipulate you or be abusing you mentally and emotionally is financially. If you're in a relationship financially, I know Fran has spoken about it, and she's given me permission to speak about it, so I'm not just putting her out there either. But she's spoken about being in a relationship with somebody who kind of had a one-up on her financially. They kind of had a little bit more exposure in the world. She was young. She came from more of a poverty mindset. She was raised in the PJs. You know what I'm saying? Didn't come from a lot of money. And so she's dealing with a person who was able to put that money in her face, who was able to use that and use their power to make her feel a certain type of way. That's also a form of emotional abuse.
Totally. Anybody who will use anything as a means to control you in any way, shape, or form. It could be information. It could be, I'm thinking about if you tell someone something in confidence and then they continue to use it against you, or they threaten you, blackmail you, or even like not even. And I know that people have worn this word out, and it really just drains me to use it. But like shame is also a big thing, because I think, like the internet usually does, people have started to think about or have started to assign different meanings to the word shame. And I don't want to get into
Right.
I don't want to get into
Everything.
that too deeply, but in the traditional sense of the word, when someone shames you for something, like they cause you to feel as though what you're doing is wrong. I mean, and that's
Yep.
I say that, you know, with a grain of salt, because I think that a lot of that has to do, you know, with the way that you interpret and hear things, but also, I mean, that's neither here nor there. I mean, when someone is intentionally shaming you, I mean that they're causing you to make you feel less than, or that, you know, causing you to be
Right.
ashamed, right, of yourself because of something that they are doing
Right.
or not doing.
Or yeah, and that's a projection, and that's another like people project all the time, but projection is a form of emotional abuse because what you're then doing are taking your shortcomings and what you're doing to add to the detriment of whatever relationship this is, and then you're flipping it out on me and pointing out my flaws, my mistakes, and my shortcomings, or trying to make your shortcomings my shortcomings. That's never okay. It's never okay to tear somebody down to
Right,
build
or
yourself
to
up.
like intentionally humiliate someone for something,
Right.
or to force someone through shame. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't do this, it's because you're that, or something along those lines. I'm thinking about, and I mean, this might be, I don't know. This came to mind because I had a conversation with my friend Andrea about this last week. And I don't know if this is the same context or this applies in this case, but I'm just going to say it and y'all just tell me if it's off. But in dating situations, when you not even like when you're in a dating relationship with someone, but even when you meet someone and they express an interest in dating you or getting to know you in that way. I'm speaking from my personal experience. So if this is not your experience, then God bless your heart. But I'm not talking to you. So I have experienced lately, like, and I feel like it's gotten really bad here lately. So I don't know if it's just me, but I feel that certain men, I don't want to say all, but certain men really go to very sexual, like their conversation gets very sexually charged and, to me, by my standards, inappropriate very quickly. I feel like I'm very forthcoming and upfront about the fact that I'm not interested in casual sexual interactions. And, you know, when I express that, it seems that, you know, everyone's in agreement. We're all good. We're just getting to know one another. We're all good. But even after that boundary has been established and communicated, the conversation gets very sexual and borderline, well, I don't even say borderline, but inappropriate very quickly. And it makes me angry because, I mean, you know, every nigga's going to shoot his shot. I get that. I'm not, and I'm, you know, again, not excusing disrespectful behavior, but, you know, I can handle your advance. What I do not like is the assumption or the, you know, niggas just take for granted sometimes. It seems like they just feel like they have a right or they have, you know, why not? Like they just take license to have access to you in ways that are not okay. Like I have to give you permission. I have to give you permission to access me and access that side of me and access that part of me because it's intimate, it's personal, it's mine. And I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. So if I'm telling you that I don't want to have sex with you in a casual situation, that does not mean that I want that. What makes you feel like I want to discuss sex casually with you? And it's not just flirting, but I mean, I'm talking about like you sending me pictures, sending me gifts, sending me, and I mean, dick pics are one thing. I'm talking about that, yes, because I don't know. You heard it here first, and I don't. Y'all could be mad if you send me a dick pic and I didn't ask for it. That's emotional abuse. This is psychological trauma. I don't want it.
It's emotional
I did not
abuse.
ask for
I
it.
didn't ask to
I don't
see-
know
I
what
didn't
you're
ask
trying
to see
to
that
control
part
and
of you.
manipulate by sending it to me, but I didn't ask for it, so whatever. But I'm also talking about sexual memes, all kinds of things, and I'm just saying that it happens to me, and I feel like I don't know, and
You
I don't
appreciate it.
it really makes me feel some kind of way because what really the energy that comes behind it, and then because it's like, you know, it's done as if it's a given, and if I make any objection or if I say that I'm not with it in any way, then then that's when the name calling starts, and it's like they're trying to, and it's
Right.
not like if you call me a bitch
You're
and
childish.
you know, hang up the phone in my face, all right, I'm not gonna feel like you shaming me. But if you call me all these things, but you're still like pushing, like it's like you trying to convince me by you telling me that I'm immature and childish and a prude and we're all adults and I don't know why this is a problem for you, like we're grown. If you continue to do that kind of thing to me as if you're trying to convince me to let my guard down and allow you to speak to me in a way that I find disrespectful, then that's why I feel like you're trying to shame me. You're trying to put me to shame to where I'll just be like, okay, fine. And that I don't,
Right.
that's the problem about it that I don't like. Cause you know, I'm not a prude. I'm not, you know, squeamish or anything like that. I can handle and look at, I can see any old, show me the dicks. It don't bother me is what I'm saying. I'm saying what bothers me is that people feel like they have access to me in a way that I don't like, that I have not agreed to or allow or given you permission to have. Like you cannot just take for granted that it's okay for you to engage with me in this way because I don't know you, and for you to force yourself on me in this way is inappropriate.
It's inappropriate. I didn't ask for it. Anything. No means no comes in so many forms. It comes in so many forms, and no means no also comes in the form of, if I don't want to talk to you like this yet, if I'm not ready to have this type of conversation with you, I'm not ready to accept this type of humor from you, I'm not ready to look at your dick unsolicited, like none of that, then you need to respect that. And if you can't get with it, you need to move forward, but you need to respect that. And if you're not able to respect that, you are then starting to infringe on me and my boundaries, and that's when it starts to become manipulation in the form of abuse.
I don't know. I feel like we talk about dick pics all the time.
That also,
but
well, that's because they're it's an epidemic.
I
And they're gonna continue to
apologize.
talk
I don't
about dick
know.
pics
I
until
just
niggas
wish
realize
that y'all
they
would
need to
just.
stop
I don't know.
sending them.
I can only speak to about my personal experiences, and I'm just saying, here lately, it just seems like I'm gonna tell y'all. Not even just a dick pic, but when I say this guy, I don't know if y'all seen the meme. It's a meme of a woman's throat. Have you seen this meme? It's a meme of a woman's throat,
No.
and it has like different points, and it's like, you know, at the deeper you get into the throat, like you get like the gift gets bigger. So like it starts out at like an iPhone 6. Okay.
Oh yes,
And
I
then it goes
have.
to, like, a
Yes, and then it
Bentley,
goes to like
right?
a car and a house.
So this
Yeah.
nigga sent me this picture and legit asked me what you driving off in, and I'm just sitting here like stunned, like nigga.
Are you serious?
Who are you? I just feel like what angers like who are you? Who I don't know you. I don't know who you are. And I mean, when I say like this, like what is this? And he's like, what? It's the picture. I got it off the internet. It's funny. Ha ha ha. Like, no, nigga, you just asked me how deep my throat is. You just asked me how deep my
exactly
throat
what you just did.
is.
You just asked me how good my head game is.
I
That's
don't
what
know
just asked
you.
me.
We've
just
not
wanted
been
to know
anywhere
how
together.
good my
Like
head
we're
game
just
is.
like we're in the total like complete preliminary stages of any kind of anything. I don't know anything about you.
You are testing your
Exactly. And I done
boundaries right now is what
told
you're
you
doing.
that you're filthy, and I don't like that kind of filth with strangers. And here you
still-
are again
and you tested me.
sending me this like, girl, if you don't get your behind.
tiptoeing all over my
I don't
boundaries.
know. What do you
Tiptoeing
mean?
all over them.
Like, we all adults here. Everybody's here. Everybody on this phone is grown. Blah, 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 blah. Like,
No, you telling me to grow? You grow up, nigga.
use your words.
You
You don't
grow
have
up.
no other conversation than head. That's
another
all you
thing-
got?
Right.
Come on.
That's the funniest
Dig
meme you've
deeper.
seen today.
No.
You must not follow Daquan. Anyway, I also, for those who are in relationships, married or not, another form is like, if there is something that while you're talking about, being sexually inappropriate in that context, for those who are in relationships, if you're in a relationship and your partner may want to do something that you don't want to do, and I think I've said this before, but your partner wants to do something that you're not down with, and it's not because, again, you're a prude, it's something that you're not comfortable with. Them trying to coax you or tell you that you're a prude because you don't want to engage in whatever activity this is, that's not okay. They need to respect how you feel about things as well. And yes, there's compromise and conversations, but there's also knowing when somebody is not okay with something. And if you try to continue to press somebody, even within a relationship, in that manner, you are then infringing upon the line of
And I mean,
abuse.
just to bring the point full circle, as we talked about before, that these kinds of dynamics can also exist in like familiar relationships as well. I have learned in negotiating relationships with my family members, because I mean, if you think about emotional abuse in the sense that it causes or induces psychological stress or anxiety, I have had to become very strategic about the ways what I communicate and the ways I communicate with members of my family. In that, there are certain things that I know that they cannot handle, and if I talk to them about it in certain ways or at certain points, then I'm opening myself up to anxiety, as they will be anxious and then make me anxious. I said on Twitter a few months ago that the older I get, I am learning to be a lot more selective about what I tell my mother and when I tell her. So there are things, and I mean, that's more of like also like setting a boundary. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to kind of have hard boundaries when certain things, like, because my mom is going to be my mom forever, and I know that it's hard for her sometimes, and for me too, to kind of navigate those parent-child roles as I'm standing squarely in my adulthood now. Because I mean, she's always going to refer back to her default of telling me how to run my life. So there's things that I have to be, okay. There's things that I've decided that I'm not going to, before make decisions I would make, and then I would talk to my mom as I was making the decision or prior to making the decision. And I've learned that there are things that I have to, I'll tell my mother about it after I've already decided. Because failing to do so would just result in us going back and forth about pros and cons and all kinds of worrying. And I've had to establish a boundary in terms of like getting to a place where I can, be in control of my own decision-making processes. Like, being an adult is being able to make a decision for myself. And sometimes opinions and advice can often feel like instructions when it comes from people who that you look up to, or people who have been in authoritative positions in your life before. So it may just be like, I'm not saying that my mother is emotionally abusing me by stressing me out. I'm just saying that in the sense of familiar relationships, there can be dynamics when certain conversations will induce stress, anxiety for you, or triggering for you. There are things, and I'm not just talking about like advice, but maybe that there's a certain issue that has happened in your family and people just still want to talk about it, and you don't want to talk about it no more because you're in a place where you're trying to heal and move forward, and they just want to keep bringing it up. Sometimes it's like, in terms of dealing with that, it's just more about saying, being intentional. I'm not going to, this is how Fran talked about it. This is how I'm going to handle this going forward. When she said that, there are things that her mom wants to gossip about, or people in her family. I don't want to say from her mom because I'm not entirely sure, but like people in her family want to gossip about certain things, and it would just stress her out because you don't want to hear about the issues that your family members are going through negatively, because it kind of sets you on a path of kind of worrying and thinking through other people's problems, which then distracts you from your own.
Right.
So she's had to put on the boundary. Like when they call her and say, call her with the T, like, ooh, sis, let me tell you, she'd be like, I'm not talking about this with you because it's going to set me up to be in a spiral of, thinking all day long. How can I help? How can I, what if this,
right.
What if that? So it's instead of being productive. There's a lot to consider with this. Again, we'll add and share these resources with you that we found, and we're not saying that this is a completely comprehensive discussion or an exhaustive conversation where we're just kind of laying out the ins and outs of emotional abuse or of things that might trigger psychological stress in relationships. But we just wanted to open up the doors of open up the communication and have some conversation around it and see what you guys are experiencing or dealing with or going through. So if there's anything that we said in the show today that hit home with you and you want to talk about it, feel free to send us an email or a tweet. If you, an honesty box question, however you want to handle it, or if it's just an email that you don't even want us to read on the air, but just to have conversation, you're welcome to do that. You can reach us at Getting Grown Podcast at gmail.com or at Getting Grown Pod on IG, Twitter, and Facebook.
We really did want to just open up the conversation because we've had a lot of personal conversations amongst each other, just about different situations that we might be dealing with personally, or loved ones that we know who might be dealing with different situations. And so we know that this is a very it's something that a lot of people deal with, and they deal with it in different forms, and it's something that comes in so many forms, and something that needs to be talked about, so that we can identify it in ourselves and in our relationships, so that we can continue to have healthy relationships, because ultimately that's what makes life enjoyable. Living is enjoyable, but being able to do it with ones that you love and with people who love you the way that you're supposed to be, that's really what it's all about. And so, yeah, we just wanted to open that
always about the
up.
self-check, thinking about ways that you may or may not be interacting with what these kind of issues in your own life. If you nagging Bay to death, think about it. Are you causing him psychological stress? Just think about that.
Or is he emotionally distant? Is he not showing empathy to you? Is he shutting you down? Is he making you feel like everything that you're doing is wrong?
It
can go both ways. And so just being able to identify that is so important. It's the first step in being able to try to rectify it. And we're not saying rectifying it means leaving. We're not saying it means staying. But we are saying that it is important to identify some of these issues that a lot of us are facing.
Honestly?
Truly. It's time for the honesty box. So, it says, hey, Jade and Keia, please help me out with something real quick. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years and currently live together. We both have good jobs and are growing together. Most days are good.
All right. Well,
also, most days I'm annoyed.
Come with that most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I realize I am dealing with a dependent mama's boy.
Oh, hell.
I've witnessed his mom execute simple tasks for him, tasks that most adults should be able to do on their own. For example, helping him figure out where to get an oil change, or walking him through the process of paying for parking tickets in a city she's never lived in. So his problem-solving skills are skewed. Unfortunately, he subconsciously expects the same treatment from me, and I most definitely will not be babying a grown man. His mom is aware of how her coddling has impacted him as an adult and in his relationship. After me speaking to her, I see that a lot of black women tend to baby their sons. Any suggestions on how to deal with a mama's boy in a relationship? Also, as I was raised to be an independent black woman, I sometimes show no sympathy and give no assistance when he asks me to help him with little stuff. Am I being too cold by telling him to figure it out like I did, or should I lighten up? Thank you guys so much. Love you both. T.
Well, T, girl.
All right.
Listen, you want to go first?
T. I appreciate the fact that you are trying to check yourself in this as well. I think that is big of you. Now, your boyfriend is definitely a titty boy. He. I think maybe shutting him down is not going to help, and it might cause some kind of rift between you all. But he does need to figure out how to do shit on his own. And it's going to be a really hard cycle to break. So let's just start with that. Like, you trying to work with him through this is a lifetime. A lifetime of something that he has built up with his mother. So this is going to be a very long process in helping to break it down. So you're going to have a lot of patience. So let's just start with that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with you helping him with certain things, but I think helping him to figure out how to do certain things is going to be the best way to go about it. And probably pointing things out. You may need to be kind of blatant with him in how you deal with him. For instance, you have a parking ticket, my nigga. So start with looking at the ticket and where you go to pay it. Google the city that you live in and how to pay parking tickets. Do you know your license plate number? Like, point out the very obvious things, the things that he needs to be figuring out how to do on his own, and tell him that he needs to take those steps in order to do so, but don't do it for him. Because you're only going to perpetuate this very large problem that he already has. But I think telling him and walking him through steps on how he can do it himself so that he can start to get into the habit of doing things for himself, and also having very pointed conversations with him about certain requests that he has or certain questions that he has. Like, come on, my nigga. Like, you couldn't Google that? You couldn't look that up in your email? You couldn't call the 1-800 number? Like, being able to point things out like that it's not being too cold. It's helping him to grow the hell up. What about you, sis?
I'm nervous to start this because I feel like I have a lot to say about it.
Say it, please.
Because I don't want to project my own issues on T's situation. I will say that, bouncing off of what you just said, I agree that, if should you so choose to take on the task of helping your partner or pointing out for your partner the areas where he would need to be a bit more proactive about, his life. Should you be willing to take on that task? I think that is a very noble act of you. I just want you to be, I think you should be forthcoming or just very direct in your communication with him prior. You have to let him know that this is a thing.
Right.
This is what you've observed as someone who's been in a relationship with him for these last 2 years and watched the way that he engages with his mother. This is what you observe about his behavior as a result of his relationship with his mother. And as a result, this is what's going to happen between y'all's relationship. Just don't leave him out. Don't blindside him. Don't feel like this is something you're going to be able to fix without him knowing. You have to be very direct in your conversation if this is what you decide to do. And I'm not going. I feel like it can be done, but like Jay said, it's going to take
the patience
some
of God.
time, and it's going to be very frustrating for you because the fact of the matter is, mothers, black mothers. That's the only black. I only had a black mom. That's the only mom I know. But I will say that black mothers, as I've observed them throughout my life, raise their sons much differently than they raise their daughters. And I really hope my mommy, y'all still not telling her about this, so we'll just keep that party going. But I often say this to my friends. I'm a little nervous to say this on the show because, whatever. I felt like for a long time, and I know my mother loves me. I'm not saying that I was, in any way slighted or that she, played favorites or anything like that. Because favorites is not, I feel like she loved my brother and I the same. She just loved us differently.
That's it right there.
So I often say that my brother was my mother's son and I was her step. I felt like Rhonda, my relationship with Rhonda for especially like through middle school and high school, I felt like I was on like a professional development track. Like she was trying to cultivate certain skills within me because she wanted me to be able to do certain things and move certain ways in the world. And I felt like, and she would always say things like, I wasn't worried about you when it came to that, or you did things differently when it comes to this or that. I didn't have to worry. Like, so those, she would say those things, I always knew you were going to be okay when it came to these kinds of things. And your brother had different needs and that is all very well true. I'm not downing or, I'm not criticizing her. I'm just saying that it was definitely a difference. And it's a difference that I've observed in the relationships that I've had with men throughout my life, that it is very common to see that moms handle their sons in very different ways that they handle the relationships that they have with their daughters. I mean, as a result, you often have some coddling, some, some. Because I don't want to even say lazy. My brother was never ever lazy, and never. So it wasn't to that degree. But my mom was much more willing to do things for him than she was for me, in terms of certain things like filling out paperwork or, following up on certain deadlines, like especially when it came to college and financial aid paperwork and making sure things had to be in the school on time. My mother was never like, it was just communicated to me that it was my responsibility to handle those things and you do it, like figure it out. But when it was my brother's turn, it was just like, we've got to help your brother with this. We've got to do this for your brother. We got to do this. Your brother needs this, and I've got to go up here for your brother. And I'm like, well, you didn't do any of that for me, sis. Like, you just didn't. Like, you just did not. Like, he needs to know how to do that too. Certain chores, things around the house, like I had to iron, I had to do certain things he didn't have to do. And I mean, don't give me that whole take out the trash and shoveling the sidewalk business. Like,
that's not brand
like all that. But there's, you know what I'm saying? But like, certain house skills, life skills. I mean, my family, we had a lot of help. My grandmother wanted us to focus on our schooling and our homework. So there were lots of chores that none of us had to do until we got grown. But there was still, even with that being said, there was a difference in the way that, we were treated. And it definitely had an impact on the things that I knew how to do and the things that my brother knew how to do. So it's definitely, like Jay said, it's going to be a task. It's going to be, because it's a process of unlearning. It's a process of, acculturation. Like you literally have to grow this grown man up all over again. And for some, like, I think, and even in that case, I think my situation in my family, even though it was something that I felt and saw firsthand, it definitely wasn't as bad as things that I've seen in other, like, no, not at all. But like fixing plates and all that stuff,
folding laundry. Like, I have seen some really extreme and terrible cases of tittying.
I just felt like, and for a while, it took me a while to put my finger on it because I just thought that. I mean, when you're young, you think, I just thought, I was like, my mom was just on fool with me. Like, she fooled with my brother. Like, there were times when I would like fall or hurt myself, and she would be like, "You're being dramatic. Get up. Life goes on." And then this nigga come downstairs with a paper clip or paper cut or a splinter, like, "Mom." He was like, "Oh Lord, let me." Oh my! Like, it was just, "Oh Lord, let me see. Bring it here." It's like,
It sounds like growing up with a brother is like growing up with a younger sibling, because I was the oldest. I remember I broke.
No, I think it's different. It
probably is, but I know, like, for instance, like when you're talking about the college situation, I paid for myself through school. Like, I had like mini jobs. Like how you all know Jade now is exactly how Jade was in college. I had mini jobs. They were just jobs like foot action. And then I'd have to bounce over to Express, or I worked in an office during the day so I can go to school at night, or I, worked at night so I can go to school during the day. But my sister, when she went to school, this heifer had a whole credit card that my parents gave her for emergencies, and for like daily use, like if she needed gas, if she needed to get sneakers because she was in school and she needed to get around, or not like go and buy Jordans, but you know what I'm saying, like necessities. And I was trying to figure out where all that was when I was in school. I was trying to figure out where all that was when I was putting myself through school. Or, they would help her with her financial aid. They would help her with whatever payments that she had, her books. Like, they were just there for whatever she needed financially, and for that support. And my mother would tell me the same things. Like, I don't worry about you when it comes to certain stuff. Like, I know you, I'm not worried about it. Or even with how I would handle myself with certain situations, there would be a lot of coddling on her. And it would be like, I don't, I know you're going to be all right. So I'm not really worried about it. But, and it did make for who I am now, and it made for who you are now. You're not Dr. Keia for no reason. You know what I'm saying? But again,
fair. I mean, she might have been on to something.
She was on to something, but I know it can seem real harsh in the moment. Clearly we both like, triggered because we got totally off the honesty box. We be like, well, what's up?
No, we told her, like, girl, it's just going to take some doing. It's going to take some,
because he's had a lifetime of it. Another thing you might want to do, because it sounds like you've had a conversation with his mother about this.
I don't know if you want to send her to do that, though. I don't know,
because she says she had a conversation with her, and the mother admitted that she has helped to make this boy the titty baby that he is. And so okay, what do we do now? She's not going to stop. She's not going to stop because she does not know how to stop, just like he doesn't know how. But she might need to have a conversation with him too. Like, I have done way too much for you.
Well, I mean, if she's willing to do that, then I guess. But I don't know. I don't know.
You ain't willing to do it, but that's just me.
I need to have some context. I would need some more context into the nature of the conversation that she had with this boy's mother.
If you have that type of relationship with her, because again, I'm going off of the fact that it sounds like she's had this conversation because she said the mother admitted it. So that's the only reason I brought that up. If the mother has admitted it, see if there is a way for her to also put it in his head that she's maybe babied him a little bit too long, and there might be some things he needs to start trying to figure out for himself. But you yourself, as the woman who's in the relationship with him now, you, like he has said, you need to have that conversation with him. Let him know what it's getting ready to be, and then take those steps.
I mean, because he could very well be like, I'm good. I'm just go ahead and find me somebody who's gonna make my sandwiches.
Right. And then your time
just
is
be prepared for that.
Your time is not wasted. We talked last week about difficult conversations and how you need to be prepared. Or 2 weeks ago about difficult conversations and how you need to be prepared for whatever response you receive from those.
Did she say how old they were?
No. No, no, but that could also play a very big role in it. He still could very well just be a baby, which means it might be easier to do this because you're starting from early. But yeah, I would have a conversation with him. Let him know that there's a rigorous training that's getting ready to happen. There, you know what I'm saying? There's some like prep him. There's some serious working out that we're getting ready to do. And I just want to let you know what the meal plan is and what the workout routine is going to be, because this is what we are getting ready to be doing 7 days a week.
Gird your loins.
Let him know that this is all for the betterment of him and for the peace of your relationship.
Well, there you have it, sis.
And I want to be very responsible of the things I say to my sister, because everybody know I can be real petty. P-E to the T-T-Y, honey.
Grab your petty and come on and join the parade, because it's Petty Peeves time.
P-E to the T-T-Y, honey.
We're going to act like Jade was ready.
Oh yeah, because I was
Even
flipping
though
back
she
and
was
forth.
not. Do you want to go first or shall I?
You go first.
I have a petty peeve of my very own today.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that many of you will probably not agree or will feel some kind of way. And you're entitled to that. But this is my petty peeve. It is my peeve. It is me being petty. So just, let me have this. If you don't agree with it, that's your business. You're entitled to not agree with it. I'm not coming for any one person in particular. I'm just speaking very generally. So those of you who have known me and been following my journey for any number of years know that I have an overall general disdain for white shoes. And I think that I'm ready to add to that. A disdain for nude shoes as well.
Oh no.
Because, and I'm nude shoes in two different ways. I hit the microphone, I'm sorry. Nude shoes in two different ways. The first one being, I just want to say that, nude, the concept of the nude shoe is relative. You know what I'm saying? There is no universal nude shoe because we are all different shapes, shades, and hues and colors of the rainbow.
Yep. Remember Louboutin came out with that line of...
Yes, they did. Mm-hmm. They did. And they're about the only brand that has been conscious and had the presence of mind to consider the fact that we all are not the color of Band-Aids. But
personal shade, but anyway.
That wasn't for you directly. I'm just saying that the nude concept, like even when I go on Zappos, if I was to go on Zappos right now and put in nude shoes, they would all be that
Jade.
same color of a Band-Aid.
They'd all be Jade. It'd be like thousands of pairs of my face on your computer screen.
So I'm saying that since nude shoes are relative to the actual tone and complexion of your skin, you have, listen, I'm gonna just say this. I'm tired of Band-Aid feet. I'm tired because brown girls, chocolate girls, girls that are butter pecan, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, brown sugar, all of the shades of melanin that are just that are so beautiful, and it just fill the earth with such rich color, right? Y'all gotta stop wearing these Band-Aid shoes and calling them nude shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Don't just at least acknowledge the fact that it's your black behind in a beige shoe. Just say that. Just say that. Stop saying I'm wearing this dress with a nude shoe. You're not, girl. You're wearing this dress with a beige shoe. You wearing manila folders on your feet, sis. That's what you're doing. So stop lying to me and stop lying to yourself. That's all. Secondly, there's another thing, another trend that I have been noticing. That is just really sweeping the nation, and I just don't get it. Maybe it's because I don't generally like nude Band-Aid color shoes, as overall. But I'm most especially peeved by this whole I'm gonna wear all black. I'm gonna wear black everything, a black dress, a black outfit, black shirt, black pants, black drawers, black hair, and I'm going to wear this all black look, and I'm going to put on a nude shoe. Like, for what? Just put on a black shoe, sis. Like, for what? What is the purpose of the nude shoe? Like, why? Like, you had a concept. You had a theme from the head to the toe. We're seeing all of this black, and then we get to these Band-Aids, and I just don't understand why. Like, for what? Why? Just explain to me why. And I mean, I know that, Kim Kardashian is really, really like the queen of this. Yeah, and I get it.
Or clear
she's short. She's short. And I know the girls feel like these Band-Aid color shoes make their legs look longer. Okay. That
Oh,
is not my ministry.
Is that
Listen,
what
that's
that
what
is?
they say. It's not my ministry, not my plight. You know, I thank God that I have a lengthy leg. I'm a little bit taller than the average Jan.
I know,
So
right?
girl, you make me sick.
Because we're just out here with
Girl, I'm
our
talking. You're done.
stems.
I'm talking and you're
Our
finished.
stems
Ma'am,
are just
ma'am,
lengthy.
ma'am. You're interrupting my peeve. That I don't ever. This is another petty peeve I can get into. People who want to be tall so bad that they lie to themselves. It's fine. You don't get to play tall and not have to deal with the trials and tribulations of being tall. That's going to be a petty peeve for next week. Nope, you're done. You're finished. As I was saying, there are those who feel, and I get it, that they say that the nude shoe elongates the leg. That's never been my struggle, so maybe this is just I don't have a dog in this fight. All I'm saying is, why not black shoes? If you got on a black outfit, why not black shoes? What is the purpose of you putting these Band-Aids on your feet?
What if
That's
they
it.
want a pop of color?
That's not a color. It's not a pop of color. It's beige. It's nude.
Oh, you got
A pop of color would be an actual like color, like a primary, secondary color, like primary, like red, blue, green,
I'm trolling. the shit out of
orange,
you.
purple.
I know.
No,
I think
you
it's
put
dumb.
in this ace bandage color shoe on your foot. It's not a pop of anything but stupid. As far as I'm concerned. Now, if you wear your black gown and your new shoe and you feel amazing, girl, I wish you all the best, honey. Pay me absolutely no mind. I'm just saying that I don't understand it. That's all.
Just look to Tracy Ellis Ross for your fashion inspiration. She never goes wrong.
Tracy has nude shoes that are her shade of nude.
Because she's my shade of nude, which is all nude shoes, like you said.
And Tracy also wears white shoes, but I'm willing to look beyond that and support her for the fabulous black woman that she is.
Oh my God, amazing. All right. So my petty peeve is also my own this week, and it's super petty.
Per
usual. No, usually they are very valid.
Okay.
But my petty peeve is when I want to be mad or irritated about something, and then somebody pulls me out of that and makes me laugh. That irritates me. Just let me stand in whatever emotion that I'm feeling. This comes today where I was very irritated that I actually chuckled at street harassment, because I was in the bodega and I have two buns in my hair right now. And a man says to me in the bodega, "I like your hairstyle. Look at them two little woo-woo ponytails. That's cute. That's cute."
He said woo-woo ponytails?
He said, "I like your hairstyle." He's like, "Those two little woo-woo ponytails. Those little twists."
Would have told him that. I would have showed him I am grown, sir. Are you
Which
kidding
is,
me?
and that is why this is my petty peeve, because I wanted to be irritated so bad. And I halfway was. But when he said my two little woo-woo ponytails, I had to stop and look and laugh at myself. And I was...
Who you mad with? You gotta
Yes.
be mad.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's what
You
my petty
pulled
peeve
yourself.
is.
You pulled yourself
When
out
I
of the
want to be irritated
irritation.
about something.
And you pull yourself out of the irritation, you want to be mad? Okay.
I didn't pull myself out.
You did. Because nobody else told you to laugh at that corny behind joke. That's dumb.
It was,
Woo-woo ponytails.
but it wasn't rehearsed.
It wasn't rehearsed?
No,
He was serious? That does not make it funny. That makes it sad. Oh, my Lord, girl. This petty peeve. Where's my fan?
It was funny. It was funny. My two little woo-woo ponytails. They're cute, but you know what I'm saying? That wasn't really what I was expecting, and I just had to chuckle a little bit at it. And then I was mad at myself for chuckling at it, and so that's why I myself am my own petty peeve. But anyway.
Okay. All right.
That and then Apple. Apple is my petty peeve this week because I have had a slew of issues with this stupid phone. But anyway.
I bet you're not gonna get no Samsung though. That's what I know.
You know I'm not.
Won't nobody be dealing with them green bubbles.
Now you know I'm not here for green bubbles. That just means that my text didn't go through. So that is another episode of Getting Grown.
Yes, it is.
That is a song of praise because we are exhausted. This shit is done for the night.
Ooh, she is tired. Okay.
Oh no, you're speaking in Tamar. So,
oh no, listen, let's not give Tamar that. Hello? She can't take all of that.
I know, but she just ruined it.
I feel bad because, as irritating as Tamar is, she makes me laugh.
I know, I feel
and I just feel like if Tamar and I were to be in the same space, we would have a good time because we laugh at the same things. That's why I wish that she would just not be
so much.
And I also wish that she would stop lip syncing because Tamar can sing, and I'm tired of these cold microphones.
She sings better than Tony.
Did you see? Oh,
she does.
Did you see Tamar on Wendy performing this? Hello, ma'am.
No, no, I didn't.
She performed. I have to find the link. I'll send it to you. She might as well had just done a video and premiered the video on Wendy because that was nobody's live performance.
Why would she do that?
That mic was so cold. It might as well have been an ice cream cone in her hand. I could literally see the air blowing from her mouth. Like you could see her breath because she was absolutely like she might as well have held a wooden spoon up on the stage because for them to play this track. And I mean, for her to do all of this dramatic carrying on as if she was like really performing, it was insulting.
You're singing into a brush.
It's like, Tamar girl, what? And I mean, Tamar can actually sing. Like, Tay got the goods.
I think she's the best singer out of all of them. Honestly.
I feel like I like Tony. Tony is a legend in her ways.
And not a word from you.
I think Tony and Tamar are just as dramatic. Like they are dramatic, but it's just manifests itself in different ways. Both like the way how Tamar be like, "Oh my God, yes ma'am, yes God, yes her." Like that's how Tony sings.
I'd rather be on
exactly.
my own. Yes, on my own.
Oh.
All days.
She's also bordering on that Anita Baker without closing her mouth. See? I didn't close my mouth one time.
Sure didn't.
All that drama. See, all the drama that Tamar brings like to her reality show personality. Tony been doing that for years.
You're right.
But just, to a babyface produced track.
Every single time, because we've clearly seen that Babyface can pull her out of any funk.
I love Babyface. Let me tell you something. I'm going to let you, we're just talking like the show's not over, but
right.
Let me tell you something. If you having a bad day, listen to Whip Appeal.
You.
When I tell you that song always brings me up out of whatever funk I'm in.
Whip Appeal.
Because when I tell you that Babyface is begging.
Come on and lay on me.
Listen, Babyface is whatever you want. All right with me. Sing.
You
got that Whip Appeal. Come on,
no,
baby,
on me.
Better, sweeter. Yes.
Oh, you've got it.
I'm about to listen to it while I take my makeup off. That nigga. Listen,
now I'm gonna go listen to it.
He wailed whatever you want. I said they don't beg like this no more on music.
No,
now all they want to do
his
is
begging was way better than Genuine's.
It's just like, first of all, like, just listen to Whip Appeal this week, guys. It'll make
I'm
you
about
feel
to listen
better.
to it right this second.
I promise. If you're having a down day, and you can just send me a tweet and be like, "Girl, yes, okay, Babyface did that."
So clearly what you all need to do is listen to Whip Appeal, mind your business, moisturize your skin, and drink your water.
Because your black will crack if it's dry.